Good afternoon, Bully Sharks. I'm here with Chief and Tech Support Sergeant Gear. He's supporting us well. So today's safety briefing, we got a couple things to talk about. But before we do that, Chief, you have anything to lead off with?
No, not to steal the DO's thunder, but it's good to see all you guys logging in Cyberland, if you will. It's been a really good week. There's been a lot of advancements and some changes, some things that I think you guys are going to like and appreciate. Some maybe not so much, but things are moving along and we're progressing. So thanks for all the hard work. Thanks for adhering to the rules. We still need to tighten up a couple things, but all in all, you guys have been killing it.
All right, so first do some rumor control real quick. We did have one airman that has been sent to isolation pending further tests. Again, this is abundance of caution. Same thing we've been doing the whole time, just been a couple weeks since we've had to do it. And in addition to that, there are three roommates and or close associates that have also been put onto, essentially ROM status. They're going to stay in the rooms that they're in until we get those test results back. So just wanted to control any rumors. So one airman has been sent to isolation, pending tests, and then those three additional ones are in ROM in their rooms. Couple changes for this weekend. First, the pavilions that you're allowed to consume alcohol have changed. The short version is the pavilion over at 240, and that 240 area is now not authorized. And they are opening up, I don't know if there's an actual pavilion out there or just a space.
So there's not a pavilion, but I guess to describe it, the roundabout near between the 316th and 315th dorms where the trash bins are located at, that will be the new authorized drinking area. So just as before, make sure you guys are adhering to social distancing. No one's going to come out there with a ruler and try to measure, make sure that you're 6 feet apart, but, try to space yourselves out. We're trying to allow you guys to have this authority or this capability as long as we possibly can. And so as long as we're adhering to that social distancing policy, spacing out, we're going to allow you guys to do this until we get the event center back open.
Yeah, and don't be caught sitting on the back of a golf cart drinking claws, even if you're just holding it for somebody else.
Yeah.
So please adhere to those rules.
And that being said, also don't get caught drinking in an unauthorized drinking area.
Yes.
We've had a few issues with that. And we're long enough into this process for everyone to know what is and what isn't authorized. So expect that if you do get caught, that you're going to get a 341 pulled, and there's going to be problems and corrective actions to follow. We're done with the warnings. We're done with kind of easing everyone into this process. We're well down the path of everyone knows what's authorized, what isn't authorized, and where it's authorized and where it's not authorized. So if you get caught drinking in an unauthorized area, expect to have a 341 pulled and then some paperwork or some other corrective action to follow after that.
Also this weekend, the theater is opening back up with social distance constraints. And also, if you don't have a mask, you're not going to get a ticket. They are using this opening up the theater as kind of like the test bed for opening up other things on base. So there's no plan right now to open up those other things like the event center or at the gym. But depending on how well we do with the theater, that's going to dictate the schedule for those other, like the gym and the event center. That being said, you may see some gym equipment start to sprout around the base. So it's as Colonel Nazario described it, Venice Beach without the beach in West Texas is kind of what they're going for.
The beach. We just don't have the water.
Yeah, that's that. So we have half the beach. We have the beach. So if you see that, feel free to use it appropriately. Masks. Between 0630, 13 or 1530, 1600, everybody's wearing masks, and that's awesome. But at 1601, masks seem to disappear. So please keep your masks on while you're throughout, not just in the duty day, but beyond, to help us limit the spread of any contagious disease.
Yeah, and that being said too, it is not just us as squadron leadership or MTLs or whatever. It is the senior leadership on the base that lives on the base that is observing that, once class is over, everyone starts to get lax in their wearing of their mask. We probably have about 98, 99% compliance during the standard duty day. And then after duty hours, that falls to maybe 50 or 60%. And that shouldn't be the case. This is obviously something that we're going to be dealing with. This is our standard operating procedure, and it will be for the foreseeable future. Regardless of what you hear about the state opening up and all these other things happening across the country, in order for us to continue to train at the level that we're training, we are going to be in a COVID constrained environment. So that also means that, hey, we're going to have to wear a mask. We're going to have to practice social distancing. It is the new norms. Even though we are starting to loosen up some of the restrictions, and I wouldn't say necessarily loosen it up, but we're going to smartly open up, these other venues. You still have to adhere to those social distancing practices so that we can, get back to some sense of normalcy. So make sure you guys are adhering to that both during and after the duty day.
All right. So I don't have anything else that I need to pass.
I do got one more thing on the drinking policy, right? So the 240, 239 area pavilion, that's going to be off limits for drinking. The new area is going to be over by the between the 315, 316 dorms. Make sure you guys are drinking in smart quantities. People are going to look out for that more. So, right now we are not going to put limitations on you. You should put limitations on yourselves. Limitations may come here in the near future, but let's just say there have been a lot of people that haven't been drinking smartly. And if an MTL, a member of NCOD or senior NCOD or lieutenant that's pulling those duties, or a chief says, hey, you've had enough and your night is done, you better adhere to that your night is done and you've had enough. Sometimes that's to protect you because you probably had a little bit too much, or if you're breaking the rules, that's where at this point now we're just going to tell everyone to pull a 341, and then you'll deal with those consequences shortly thereafter. So please be smart in your drinking quantities. What you're drinking, don't have more than one person can drink, or if you're two folks and you're sharing like a 6-pack. That'd probably be a smart drinking quantity to have as opposed to a case.
That's right. So just to wrap it up, once again, guys, you guys are crushing it. We are doing things like distance learning that was undoable, can't be done 7 weeks ago. And we're doing it routinely today. And it's working. And it's working because of the effort that you as the students are putting in and all the instructor and cadre are doing. We are the model, really, for 2nd Air Force and probably ATC as well. And everybody's copying us. Crushing it, guys. Keep it up. So with that, let's open it up for questions.
The first question was last week. Well, last week's first question was my 3.5 games over under for Colonel Sharp on the Pats. I don't remember what the response was to that. I thought about reframing it as which team will win more games, the Washington Redskins or the New England Patriots. I may come up with a wager that has to do with hair on top of heads or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Any questions? All right. I didn't want to feel left out by not putting out. That's Captain Char.
All right. Someone thinks the Redskins will win more football games than the New England Patriots. I like that. My new favorite airman. Okay. The next one is: do you think with a push to open up things, civilian side, there's also going to be a push to open the base back up?
So, short answer is no, and no changes obviously with time, and we see how we'll see how the virus responds to the loosening of regulations throughout the state and obviously neighboring states and all those different things. Depending on the surrounding environment is really going to dictate how long Goodfellow as an institution is going to, I guess you can say, keep its doors closed to unnecessary folks coming onto the base. Right now, you guys are stuck on base, and we limit access to the base to those folks that have to be here and need to be here in order to continue our training operations. So right now, there is no plan in place to open up the base, either to folks to come on or for you guys to go off at the current moment. That could change in 2 or 3 weeks, or it may stay that way for 6 months. We don't know right now.
Yeah, the quickest way to get off base right now is to graduate.
Yes.
All right. So question was asked and answered about what movie is playing this weekend. It's the newest Star Wars movie, which is
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. All right. Next question is something that was possibly brought up a few weeks ago, but with an official PT test scheduled in June, what can I expect?
Properly social distance PT test. The short answer is I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think they are going to waive any of the components. So the short answer is, when you're getting a waist measurement, you're probably going to be in a mask. The person who's measuring is going to be in a mask. They're probably going to be wearing gloves, and there's probably going to be some sort of alcohol sanitizing wipe to wipe off the tape measure when they measure you. Everything else can easily be accomplished with a safe social distance of 6 feet.
All right.
I saw one about the gym opening up. Yep. Right, like I mentioned, we don't have a time frame for that right now. They're going to start moving some of that equipment out of the gym into various locations around base, and exactly where is to be determined, just to provide some more workout opportunities. But right now, there's no plan to open up the gym.
So you answered 2 follow-up questions to that, which is where can I lift weights, or where's the gym equipment going to be, and that's to be determined.
Yeah, to be determined. Yep.
And do we know what gym equipment will be available specifically?
I do not.
All right. One more coming in. Can a family member drop off a car so we can use it to PCS at a later time?
Short answer on this one is probably no. And I guess it's the definition of later time. So say if you're leaving on Saturday and your family comes in, they drop the car off on a Friday out in the parking lot at the visitor center, and you can take all of your crap out of your dorm room, and on your way out the door leaving the base, then yeah, that's probably acceptable. To have a car that we don't know is sanitized or whatever, it's kind of like anything coming from outside of 50 miles, as the boss said previously last week, and we've continued to say, you're probably going to go on a 14-day ROM. So if you want to risk either being put in ROM for during your class, or getting stuck in ROM right as you're leaving to PCS out of here, what have you, it's probably not a good idea to do it. So if you're going to do that, the smart thing is, hey, probably as you're leaving the base or getting ready to leave the base would probably be the right appropriate time to do that. Anytime sooner than that is probably not a good idea right now.
All right, that's
the car one still.
That's the most recent one. Yeah. So.
All right, it seems like we've dried up with questions. We'll stick around for another couple minutes in case any pop in. In the meantime, appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I appreciate your flexibility. I appreciate your ability to roll with the punches known as COVID-19 as we move forward and train you and get you out of here to your operational units.
You've got one more question, sir. When we go to another base, will we be in a 14-day quarantine when we get there?
Quite likely. It depends on the base.
It depends on the base, and it also depends on how you get there. There are efforts underway currently to try to get sanitized transportation from tech school to gaining units. If that comes to fruition, then you will probably not have to go into ROM right away. Well, I'm pretty sure if we get sanitized transportation, you will not. But that doesn't mean that you're going to go right into your operational centers right now. Everyone is still kind of figuring out how to continue to work their missions, with social distancing and all those different things. So as we start to normalize and figure out how to work in our current environment, those operational units are also doing the exact same thing. So they are also, teleworking as much as they can, unless you have a mission that you actually have to show up for and do. But even with that, they are still working under some constraints and some, I'd say probably mission essential manning levels. So the short answer is it depends on where you go, and then it's also going to depend on how you get there.
Another one.
That was
that's it.
That was a similar answer the student provided. As
Sweet.
far as it depends on where you go. No other questions so far. And then a wall of text appeared. Any big updates regarding travel ban? And can someone drive through the state of Louisiana en route to Corey?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd say the travel ban, there's no real big updates to that right now. As far as, where you can go, where you can't go, we're still operating under the same similar constraints. The Air Force is starting to move out on PCSs once again. So, but that's a kind of phased in approach that's going to happen over the next 2 to 8 months, just depending on categories and statuses. For you guys as students, you guys are in the priority status where you've already been exempt from limitations, so you can still move. We're starting to see overseas assignments open back up for you guys. So we will now here probably in the very short term start seeing folks with overseas assignment and start seeing people PCS to those locations now. And as far as driving, you can drive anywhere in the U.S. right now. It's just that everyone needs to know because of the COVID-19 pandemic, you need to adhere to precautions depending on where you go. So yes, you can drive through the state of Louisiana, but it probably wouldn't be a good idea to stop in New Orleans overnight. New Orleans is a hot spot, so it would probably be best to kind of avoid that. But stopping anywhere else is probably not that big of a deal. Just make sure that you're taking the appropriate precautions and staying safe.
So the next question, and there's a little bit of back and forth, has to do with recycling, which essentially boils down to how do we get to recycle something other than cardboard? So I know the answer to this. I actually know the answer to this one. All right, so I'll awkwardly come into frame here to answer this one.
Tech supports to the rescue.
So the only thing that can be recycled on base is cardboard. That's because the cost benefit of recycling anything else, such as plastic, single-use plastic, does not outweigh the associated costs of executing that recycling for the base. I know that because I was a facility manager. This question has been asked multiple times over throughout the last 3 years that I've been here at the installation level, and it's the same answer we get back every time, which is the only cost and reuse benefit material that is recycled is cardboard. And then secondary to that is the city used to have a drop-off recycling center, which is why individual recycling programs once existed. But even the drop-off recycling center where you take your stuff to the recycling center, that recycling center was shut down months ago. So for the foreseeable future, there is no real feasible recycling program for anything other than cardboard.
And that sucks because that was one of the first questions I had when I arrived on base, especially coming from overseas in Korea. And I know other places are similar to where you recycle just about everything. And that was one of the first questions I had in my newcomers brief to the vice wing commander. And that was the answer I got, almost 3 years ago.
And if it helps,
it's been the same ever since, obviously.
And if it helps anybody's conscience, I have 2 recycling bins that I put curbside every other week. My neighbors only have one. I have two. So there you go. Hopefully that makes you feel better. The next question had to do with RAP being canceled. Is RAP still canceled?
Yes.
Yes.
If this continues through December, lightly through December, I don't know what lightly means, but if this continues through December, what would Exodus look like if we're still in training? I know this is pretty far out, but just because this is such a huge holiday in tech school.
That's a question that I guarantee you none of us have thought about. And now that you mentioned it, I am going to ask that question and pose it to our leaders, because it's something that we probably need to start thinking about. Maybe not now, but if we wait to 2 or 3 months out from Exodus, we're probably going to be behind the power curve. So I'll take that for action to ask that question, and then hopefully we can either pass something along in the next 2 weeks or so. We probably won't get an answer in a week. It may take 2 weeks to get an answer back, but we'll figure that one out.
Next question is, would it be acceptable to purchase a vehicle and get it delivered from a dealer within a 50-mile radius?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't the shirt do that?
Yeah.
Moats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can ask First Sergeant Moats exactly how to execute that. I'll get you your personal phone.
Yeah.
All right, nothing else beyond that for now.
All right, guys. Everyone have a great weekend. We're gonna get out of here and go work on award packages. All right, take care.
Good.